All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Guidebook Greenroom. And we are thrilled today to have Christian join us, a senior client relationship manager here, but also someone that has been with Guidebook for how many years is it now, Christian?
Oh my goodness. This will be my 12th year, which is so weird to say out loud, but it's definitely been a fun ride.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, thank you for joining us today. And I'm definitely excited to have you here and ask you some questions about kind of the journey of Guidebook a little bit.
That sounds great. I am thrilled to be here. I already told Gunnar I'm a longtime fan, first time caller, so this is a special occasion for me. Uh, so big fan of you guys. I've followed you for a long, long time. Very excited to help out.
So glad you're here, Christian. Thanks for joining us in the green room. Now you've seen a peek behind the curtain, what it's really like in here. And it's wild that you've been a guidebook for 12 years. Back when I first started, like you were already so experienced and like the wise person on the support team. And then both of us have had these crazy journeys across different roles at the company. So really, really excited to have you here with us so you can share some of that knowledge with the community. And across those various roles, you've kind of built up a reputation at the company as someone who's just so deeply empathetic. Like you really work hard to understand people, which I love about you. You're also famous for your poetry and Garfield gifts, which I just need everyone to know. Uh,
Yes, yes, sometimes I have to get creative in some of my correspondences, we'll say. Yes, for sure.
yeah, if you're lucky enough to be one of Christian's clients, I hope you love it. So, given you have this, really well-informed perspective on Guidebook, its people, the company, I'd love to hear how would you describe kind of Guidebook's journey over the past decade or so?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the greatest privilege that I've had of being here so long is just watching the company evolve. Kind of like you were saying around the days when you started as well, our mantra was just help folks build beautiful guides. I think that's even what we had on our website. It was, what we put on t-shirts and merchandise. No. But no, and we really meant it though. We built a great platform. A lot of those guides, when I first started, were just launched via our flagship guidebook app, which I still love. I know I'm biased, but I think it's a wonderful app. Probably still the best event app in the game. But and then over time, I got to watch us move into launching standalone branded apps and helping a lot of customers have their very first app in app stores, which was a really special thing. And continuing to deploy great tools, try our best to listen to our customers, support their needs. Flash forward all the way to 2025 now, which is still weird to say out loud. And we're not just about building great guides or building event apps specifically. We're kind of moving into, becoming a bit more of an event management platform, which is really, really exciting. And I think it's a particularly fascinating time to be with the company, especially if you've been here a while and you've kind of watched us grow to this point. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, amazing. And I'm keen to dig into that wealth of experience a little bit that you have. And you've worked with clients, events from all shapes, sizes, industries, whether colleges, standalone events, whatever it may be. And having seen that evolution over the years, I'm just interested to know from your perspective around how people have been really successful with Guidebook. Are there any favorite features you have, or any standout features over the course of those many years?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, truly, we've now reached a point where there are so many great ways to leverage the platform. I think sometimes the biggest struggle is making sure folks are utilizing all of the great tools that we have. But I know I definitely have some favorites. One of which is Interact, which is kind of our newsfeed style menu item, which really serves as a one-stop shop inside the app. It's the session updates, notifications. Sponsored posts, of course, a variety of engagement user to user, or even, guide admins to users, or, asking questions in real time, encouraging responses and feedback and likes and comments and tags and all that. So I really love it. I've definitely found with the folks that I've worked with, if your users are spending more time in Interact, it definitely boosts the chances of them seeing the information you really want them to see, the critical content. But I think the most fun and probably our most exciting launch certainly of 2024 was leaderboard, which was a long time coming. That finally, we have a fun way for attendees or users of all kinds to be rewarded for completing various actions inside the app. Obviously, they can see the rankings, but they can also check out what all they've garnered points for so far, what they can continue to try to get points by doing, and I'm just loving the feedback. It's genuinely rewarding when we launch something that we're excited about and we're really proud of, and then our customers are the ones that say, "This is awesome. You guys really knocked this out of the park." And it just seems like, knock on wood, that's been the feedback that I've gotten. So definitely, I think my two favorites these days are Interact and Leaderboard. Especially just it's a great way for users to really feel connected to everything going on between those two things. So yeah, those definitely stand up. But lots of great stuff. And it's always fun to see folks bend our platform in really interesting ways too, which speaks to the flexibility of our platform.
I love that. I think kind of the features you highlighted connect really well to kind of the evolution of the company as a whole, and also uh, the evolution of like technology as a whole, right? Like when we first started, when Guidebook first started getting going, like the App Store was still a relatively new concept, and like you had to contract with a company or you had to have an in with Apple to like have an app in the App Store, for example. And then there was this huge boom, this huge explosion of like 2 million apps in the App Store. Everybody, there's an app for everything. Anybody can do it. And then we were really trying to figure out like, okay, how do you use technology well, right? How do you do more, but like make sure it's still effective and impactful? And I feel like some of your commentary about the engagement tooling is in that vein of like, yeah, we want people talking and connecting, engaging with the content, engaging with one another. We want those sponsor conversations, but it can't just be this like bombardment, kind of like the App Store was the Wild Wild West in like 2017 or so, right? How do we refine that and like drive traffic to important content or important actions? And that's where a leaderboard comes in, right? Because you're like incentivizing specific things. It's not just this fire hose. And I think I'm curious to see how that trend continues in for events, for community management and technology in general. This balance between like the internet and Wikipedia and everything out there versus personalized, like curated experiences, and like where does AI come into it in terms of understanding who you are or understanding your audiences. So all that to say, Christian, I'd love to hear kind of like what are your predictions for the future? What do you see in your crystal ball when it comes to event technology?
A very, very, very good question. And certainly it goes without saying that the past few years have presented a number of unique challenges that companies like Guidebook have had to face head on, and for the right reasons as well. I think that's what's kind of most enriching about it is with that demand or requirement at times for evolution comes a lot of great innovation. I think for it definitely seems as though, hybrid gatherings or some form of that will remain a priority for some. So we have to make sure that our tools continue to meet the needs of those attending in person, those attending fully remote, and everything in between. But yeah, you already hit on it. I think AI is definitely going to be a powerhouse in 2025. At the very least, just kind of seeing how it continues to present itself in unique ways, or at least the most valuable ways. And kind of beyond that, it definitely seems like this could be the year where VR and AR are gonna start to make a bigger impact. That need for unique personalization and unique immersion, I think, will only grow. So it's gonna be really fascinating to see how that continues to impact the event space and really, where users are able to leverage it most, where it may not make sense, where it will really, really make sense. So yeah, I think it's fascinating, and it's part of just continuing to listen to our customers and their users and their needs. It's going to be a year where feedback directly from the folks that we value most and the folks who help define who we are as a business is going to be more valuable than ever.
Yeah, I love that. I remember, I think it was the Freeman report last Q4 last year, and they were talking around how, a lot of people, attendees are looking for more immersive experiences now. Their expectation is that, events should stand out and you should be able to kind of have these experiences on site, and they kind of favor that more than typical networking or traditional content forms. And I think it's really interesting time for event planners to start thinking about how to integrate those technologies. And I have a couple of questions because, you know, like any industry, we get a lot of noise at the top about trends and what people want and don't want and what's coming and what we should be thinking about. But I'm always interested, you're speaking to clients all the time, you're speaking to event planners all the time. Are they asking you, about Guidebook and what we're considering in our kind of technology development? Is the expectation that we are, going to be doing stuff with AI or VR? Like, do you hear that from clients, or again, is that kind of just stuff that we're seeing the conversation sort of develop on more externally and LinkedIn and places like that?
Uh, it's so fascinating to me because I will say it's coming up a little bit more, but I feel like, and these are conversations I have with my team as well, our awesome account management team at Guidebook. Shout out to those great people. But it feels like it's more of a curiosity at this stage still. It's more about, what have you guys been thinking about? Just so we
Mm.
kind of know maybe what we can be thinking about and that kind of thing. I definitely would not say, at least in my experience, that we've reached a point where there is a true, I definitely need this because everyone's getting it, or I'm being told that this is critical for us to continue to be this. It's really this fascinating period of discovery and exploration in that regard. And I think that definitely comes all the way down to the customer interactions where they're just trying to find the best tools for their needs. And I think at this stage, they're of course open to whatever we're excited about and whatever we're preparing to launch. But ultimately, what matters most is just guaranteeing that we can deliver a great experience for their college campus or their event or their year-round HR resource or whatever it might be, ensuring that we have a quality mobile solution that users genuinely see value in and they want to engage with. That still trumps just about everything else. There's always going to be a handful of folks that are maybe are get most amped up about the bleeding edge technology that we might be trying to work on, but it's actually sometimes refreshing to know too. And you touched on it already, Nathan. It's like sometimes it feels like we're told what the trends are or will be before we actually know for certain or before we allow the market or our customers to confirm that for us directly. So it's nice to know that they still understand that the biggest and most important goal is just delivering the best overall experience. And when I have customers basically tell me directly that they believe in us because of that, that's what keeps me at Guidebook. That's what keeps me most invested and keeps me wanting to support these great people. So yeah, it's interesting though. Maybe by this time next year, who knows? Maybe it'll be a slightly different conversation. But I would say at this time, yeah, we're not maybe not quite there yet, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that point about being told what the trends are. It took me back to an event that I ran over a decade ago, and someone came along with Google Glass, and everyone was losing their mind. There's a picture of young me with Google Glass on, thinking like I'm the future, like this is going to take off. And then I'm still sat here wearing my old spectacles. I would have been wearing it probably
Same.
13 years old, and I just think like it's so true. These things that we're told are going to revolutionize something, and we don't know until we truly know. But with that, I just kind of was also thinking, what are you excited about? What are you looking forward to most at Guidebook this year?
It might sound silly, but making some noise. I really think we're in a position to make a little bit of noise in the best ways. Towards the end of last year, we completely revamped our product offering. We now have, in my 37 years with the company, we now have more product options than ever. It was important to us to reach a point where we're servicing the widest variety of needs possible. Everything from a very small annual leadership meeting of maybe 40 people to a gigantic agricultural trade show of 40,000 people. We really feel like we now have um, uh, the tools to help just about anybody, which is really exciting. But along with that, something that is, I think, keeping us all going is we have registration tools on the way. And that I know in my experience as both a member of our expert customer success team, which is an amazing unit doing great work all the time, and also now with the account management side, that's a long time coming. And kind of being able to tell folks point blank, hey, 2025 is the year that we're really starting to launch these tools to help with registration overall or ticketing or whatever. There's just so much to be excited about. And I think, as I said, going back to our kind of how we kicked off the conversation with evolution and just continue to adapt, that's a big piece of it. So I think by the end of 2025, it's really going to be fascinating to see how Guidebook starts to be viewed, especially by the folks that have maybe been with us the longest, the schools and companies that have been with Guidebook for 6, 7, 8 years in some cases, maybe even longer, with a handful of customers, and get their feedback on really how they view us as a platform and just how valuable we can be to them across the board. So yeah, registration's a big one. That's kind of the big whale that we'll be catching in 2025. So I'm definitely excited about that.
Amazing. Well, thank you so, so much for sharing all of these insights with us. I think a couple of underlying themes, whenever I talk to you about anything, there's always this element of service. That's kind of like your personal brand, which I appreciate. And I hope that we can keep bringing that all the way across Guidebook, right? Listening to what customers really, really need. What are their pain points? How can we solve those? And then kind of embracing creativity in a collaborative way, right? So how can we work together, right? You're not just buying an app. You're joining this community filled with incredible people who are here to help you, as consultative advisors. So thanks, Christian, for just being great.
Oh, thank you so much. It's honestly, it's really been a joy. It feels like folks I speak to, they might not always have the luxury of even being able to stay at a great company for that long, or, maybe there's some challenges internally, or maybe they don't feel like they're always supported. But I am so, so thankful that, as hokey as it might sound to some, that Guidebook has been my home for over a decade. That's an incredible thing. Since I started Guidebook, at a Guidebook, I've gotten married, I've had a kid, we've all kind of started to grow up together, the folks who have been at Guidebook a long time. So, and it's just fun to watch the company grow as well. So it's truly been my pleasure along the way.
Yeah, I have a completely random question that's unrelated to everything we're talking about. Um,
We
uh,
started with that actually. It was just kind of
they pivoted back. But as folks may notice in your background, you're a little bit of a Nintendo fan. Is there anything you're looking forward to in 2025 in terms of like games or other media?
Oh man, it sounds like we're getting closer and closer to the successor to the Nintendo Switch coming, which will be a very big deal in this household, especially with a 3.5-year-old starting to show a little bit more interest in video games. So that's definitely that's my number one for sure. I mean, lots of great movies coming and great media and books, but I'm definitely a bit of a gamer at heart, so I think there's going to be, sadly, maybe a few too many hours wasted after that launches, whatever it does. So definitely, I am give me all the Mario and Zelda and Metroid and Princess Peach and Bowser, the whole gang. I'm really excited about that. So it'll be a lot of fun, I'm certain.
Amazing. Nathan, if you notice that Christian and I are both taking some days off and they happen to overlap, now you know why.
I
We'll have
love
to
it.
recruit you and get you into the gaming channel for some chats. But I really appreciate it again, Christian. Thanks for joining us here in the green room. Nathan, you wanted to add to wrap us up?
Yeah, I mean, just thank you so much for coming, Christian. It's been a pleasure to have you tell your story, but also give your perspective on the industry and where you think things are going. And yes, looking forward to hopefully getting you back again in 2025.
Oh, absolutely. My pleasure, guys. Thank you so, so much. This was really awesome. This is really special. Thank you.
Amazing. And to everyone else watching, yeah, we'll see you next week. Thanks for joining.